Okay, so this is part one, and what we're going to do is the modeling. So the first thing is I'm going to take the cube and I'm going to go into edit mode, so that's option, and into faces, select all of the faces, and then I'm going to extrude individual, and then press this thing in here, and then get this any way you like. I don't care what it looks like. Now that's done, I'm going to add a modifier and I'm going to bevel it. You choose how this looks. I'm going to make it a small bevel, maybe 0.3, and then a bunch of segments so that we get something that is smooth. So if you go into that, you can see we got this. Very nice. Okay, so that is our cube, and I'm just going to throw it off to the side, and we're going to build another element. I'm going to build a plane, and the plane is going to be nice and big, like so. I'm going to right click and I'm going to subdivide, and I'm going to subdivide this a bunch of times. So I'm going to put 40, sounds about right. And you can do it less, you can do it more, I don't really care, it doesn't matter, but minimum 30 I think. So now we got this, what I want to do is I want to distort this. So I want to displace this so it looks a bit like a mountain. So I'm going to add a modifier which is a displacement. I'm going to click like that, and nothing's happened because nothing's displacing it. On here I'm going to create a new texture. So it says texture, texture is in here, and my texture is going to be clouds. Okay, you don't have to do anything to them. We just go back out here and you can see it's distorted it a lot. You can change the strength of that, and that will dictate how bumpy or not it is. So let's leave it at that. I'm going to shade smooth, but we're not going to see it, so it doesn't really matter if you shade smooth or not. So now what we're going to do is we're going to populate it with this cube. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use a thing called geometry nodes. Geometry nodes are quite complicated, but I'm going to talk you through it, and as long as you follow the steps, it should be pretty easy to do. So we're going to create a new node for this object. What we get is an input and an output. The input in this case is itself, and then it outputs itself. And what we want to do is we want to populate it with lots of stuff. So we're going to go add, point, and distribute. We put that on here, and then we've replaced our plane with lots of these little points. These points don't mean anything because we need to replace them with this. So we go to add and point and instance, and what that does is we can choose the cube, and now we've replaced it but with lots and lots of big cubes, so we've got to change the size. So in between here and here I'm going to add an attribute called randomize, and randomize is useful because we can change how random it is, and what we're going to do is stuck it in there. Nothing happens because we have a scale, and the scale we need to change and it's not changing anything. And why is it not changing anything? Well, because we need to tell it what to change, and in this case we have to literally handwrite in scale. It will know what you mean. So maximum is 1 and minimum is 0, and you can see we've got a bunch of random cubes starting at 0 and going all the way up to the size of 1, which is its original size. So that is great, but they're all pointing in funny directions, and that's not good. So we're going to take this attribute and we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to change it from scale to rotation. Rotation, weirdly, is there as a default. Now we've kind of created our city, and I'm going to increase the density, make loads. If you increase the strength of it, then you could make this more vertical. And now we are basically done with our city. It's all a bit spun round because we've got this, and we wanted to take that off because remember we duplicated it from there, but now it's there and we've got a city. Lovely jubbly. Okay, finished. No more needs to be done to our city. It is finished because we're trying to create a stylistic city. So next thing up, we're going to create some text. So I'm only going to create 2 or 3, but you can create as many as you like. I'm going to create 1, and I'm just going to go down to text, which is in, where is it? It is here. You could probably see it before me, and there it is. And so we've created our first text layer. I'm going to bring it up here so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to rotate it again so I can see what I'm doing. And if you go into here, you can make sure it's all exact. So there we have our text. I'm just going to focus in on that. Press the period key to do that. So now I'm going to change this to film title, and that is our film title done. You can change lots of things about this. I'm going to change the font. So in here, if you're on Windows, it will come up. If not, then you go to Library on a Mac and look for fonts, which is in here. You look here and it will show you kind of your library of fonts. In my case, not too many. But I think, yeah, all of mine are kind of kept in the system folder. So you have to go system library fonts, but if you're on a PC, it should automatically show them. So pick whatever you want. I don't recommend that one because it's horrible. I'm going to go for that. Okay, so here's my film title. Nice. What I want to do is I want to have this looking like neon. So I'm going to change in here the geometry of my text. So I'm going to make it a bit wider, and I'm going to get rid of both front and back fills. So if you go to none, then what I've got is just the outline. See, like that. So first title done. Now I'm going to position it. You position it wherever the heck you like. I don't mind. So I'm going to put mine, and I'm going to put mine like on the top of buildings. So I'm going to stick mine here. That will do. And if you're struggling to position, then be patient. It's not that difficult, and I'm going to scale it down because I want to include a few, and I'm going to stick it like that. That's good. I'm going to duplicate this again. I'm going to shove this one over here, and let's see if that fits. Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind it. I'm going to edit this one, and I'm going to call it oh, actually, I'm going to keep this. And I'm going to change the first one to and I'll make that a bit smaller because it's a bit big, and that looks good. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate that again, and I'm going to stick the other one over here-ish. So if you don't want to know how to zoom in, you just go view, frame selected. I'm going to drop this down, and then I'm going to spin it around because I want it to be at this kind of angle, and make sure that it's the right coordinates, and then I'm going to stick it like that, and that looks good to me. So now I've got 3 film titles and I built a city, and we are done with the modeling.